So, hello and welcome to another video. I'm currently situated on Cottington Lake and I've got David Brown here with me, currently on a tuition as we speak. Things are not going totally, how can we say, to plan, let's put it that way, as he's lost the first bite, but I'm sure there'll be another fish to come. We'll talk about the tactics and what we're actually doing, but for now, here's a little bit of B-roll to feel your way into the session. So as you can see, we're fishing one of the hot spots over there in the corner. Excuse me, I've got a mouthful. My dinner's actually going cold. We've got chicken, mushrooms, peppers, new potatoes, the full works, the fire pit's on. It's absolutely banging. But anyway, more to the fishing. We're fishing a known spot over to the left there, or should I say David is anyway. He's in the flyer, I'm just sort of tagging along on the side here. Still putting my rods out at night. He's allowed me permission to put the rods out, so you never know, I might winkle one out. But my priority today was getting everything sorted for David, getting them rigs sorted and everything. And we're actually doing a washing line method over to that hot spot over there. I don't think it's something that a lot of people will do on here, just because of the effort that you've got to put in to get it round there. And not only that, it's much easier doing it when you've got two people with you. If you're here on your own, it's a bit more of a kerfuffle. So, you know, I can't imagine many people's done it. Now, all throughout today, I mean, on past experience fishing this lake, it doesn't fish very well in the daytime. If anything, most of my bites have come in darkness here, so as soon as it dropped light and we had a bite almost straight away and we didn't have the rods in all day, you know, fingers crossed, and only hope that another carp comes along, let's put it that way. Well, I will go everything in a lot more detail as to what we're doing, but in particular David wanted to cover rigs and solid bag fishing, so we spent majority of today sort of tying up rigs and making up bags and things like that, and just getting everything pucker really. I mean, I suppose you could say David's a ready-made carper if you look in his rig box. They're all ready-mades bought from the shop, so he hasn't really add that to his armoury, and shown him just how simple they are, you know. Hopefully you can go away, you know, and create some masterpieces yourself. I mean, the rigs I've shown you are very, very simple, you know, and rigs I use all the time. I open my box up and there's probably 4 rigs in there. Yeah. Anyway, I am waffling on. We shall have a catch up after I've eaten this and something carpy happens. I don't think it's going to be too long before we get one of them strings pulled. Let's put it that way. Well, good morning, and quite a chilly morning it is too, might I add. And I tell you what, after having that bite yesterday, it really led us into false pretenses, because I tell you what, it was a total different prospect to what we thought it was going to be. I thought we was in for a couple of bites at least. But as it turns out, the wind totally dropped off and the air pressure rose, and it was just like a sheet of glass out there, and didn't even see a fish show. Now, looking back on previous sessions that I've fished on here, you know, they're always quite active at night, and I've often explained it as it's like somebody just flicks a switch and the life comes to lake, but there was none of that last night. I mean, if anything, we're sort of seeing a little bit more activity this morning because the wind started to pick up now, but not on the old carp front, I might add. The pike are very, very active out in front of us, as are the smaller fish at the moment. But we've just had a quick look on the old weather forecast, and it is looking prime for this evening. So the plan is, you know, not to make any disturbance today, keep everything low key. I mean, we've got a few little bits and bobs we can do around the camp, and in particular we want to get that fire pit working right. We struggled with that last night. The wood that Mike sells here, it was all absolutely soaking wet, so the kindling had burned up nicely, and it was like we was just sort of roasting the logs, because the logs just wouldn't take hold, would they? No. So, you know, we didn't really sit out for as long as we'd liked, but I think we give it till about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock,
yeah.
Right.
But by then it was like we just couldn't bear the cold, feet were freezing and night. I mean, got in his sleeping bags and it was like for a good 40 minutes, and then up a couple of times in the night for a pee, just because it's that time of year again.
All fun.
But I am very, very hopeful for later on, I really am, especially on your margin spot over there. It's got good form, that, and I mean, to pick that bite up when there wasn't a lot happening.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's a real positive that, and I feel really confident of a bite
Still
tonight.
net method as well.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I looked at the weather app and seen what was happening, I was like, whoa, it sort of perked me up, didn't it? Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100%, you know, whether or not I can nick one in my swim. I mean, as it stands at the moment, nobody else has turned up to fish, and the day anglers that was on here yesterday piking, they all left in the evening. So I have got one rod pumped out actually to the other side of the lake, which is fishes the hot spot on the other side, just to see whether or not I can pick up a few liners through the daytime on that rod. But I tell you something, if nobody turns up later on this evening, I think I will persevere and keep one over there for the night, because, you know, on this lake in particular, you either want to be in that peg over there, I think it's like peg 2, I think it is, and then on this side it's peg 13. They tend to be the hot swims on the certainly from when I've seen it anyway. You know, I've never fished this place in the summer. And it's a good spring water, and it's a good winter water. Mike's been round this morning as well, and he's been telling me, you know, Willow's been fishing really hard. Only did 2 fish last week. Well, I say 2 fish, he said 2 bites, one caught and 1 loss. And he said last weekend on here there was 5 or 6 fish out on the weekend, so it's looking all right. I'm feeling quite positive, and I think we can definitely make something happen. But, you know, I've promised we'll make a few more rigs up today, so I've got a bit of something to do. And I want to pop out and get some kindling, see if I can get that pit going later. So no doubt you shall be joining us a bit later on when that fire is blazing. And hopefully with a fish or 2 tonight, that would be lovely. And I think a takeaway's on the cards.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Round the fire, takeaway.
Thinking a curry is on the cards, because I don't know what it's like at your household, but at my household nobody likes Indian, so I never get one. So it'd be it'd be a nice addition, that bit of a fire pit and that. And I was actually saying to David, I've never actually had sat fishing and had a fire going before, because usually it's not allowed, you know. So it's quite a luxury. I mean, they're all bolted down, and there's a couple dotted around the lake now. It's a bit of a theme on here now. So yeah, that to look forward to. So keep your eyes peeled, and we're going to have a little bit of a catch up in a bit with how the match went at Cottington. So yeah, stay tuned and look forward to that. Well, good afternoon, and we are sitting here now feeling rather positive about the night ahead. I mean, to be honest, we're a bit like coiled springs at the moment. The conditions are prime. I've popped to the shop, I've managed to get some kindling for the fire, and we are really looking forward to it. And I say we're sitting here like coiled springs because David's not long primed his spot with a few spoms and maggots, and already he's had a couple of savage liners. I mean, it's not to say it's carp, it could be pike, but you know, it doesn't half get the old ticker going. He was already trampling a rod, running across to the rod, and I don't know about you, mate, but I feel like we're set for a bite.
Yeah, oh definitely. It's getting the heart going. I thought I was going to slip right over in the mud.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, tactic wise, we're sticking to the same, you know. We've still got the washing line method over to that spot, you know, and that did a bite yesterday afternoon when it wasn't looking very promising for a bite. So if that doesn't go off tonight, I'm giving up carp fishing. That's how confident I feel that that's going to go off. And we spent a bit of time today getting it right, you know, and we put a couple of handfuls of maggot over there. You know, and it's got one of my faithful rigs on over there, a little mesh stick, and lowered it right into where you can't cast. I was actually using the landing pole to get it into position. It does make it a lot easier when there's two of you getting it in there. And then his 6 wrap spot, you know, obviously we found that spot yesterday. And it's a nice firm area. It is still silt that we're fishing over, but it's firmer silt. You know, just a spot that you can present over nice, and he's fishing a solid bag over that, so it'll sit pucker anyway. And then you've just gone out with 5 medium spoms and maggot on it, so it's not too much, you know. But there's enough there if, you know, the small bits and bats start having a go as well. Just something to get them grubbing around in the area. And then for me, I mean, nobody else has turned up and gone over onto that other side, so I'm going to keep one long, and I'm just fishing a solid bag on that pineapple pop-up. Pineapple and banana, you know, it's done me so many bites here in the past. And then on the other rod, I've actually gone out to the centre of the lake because it's the only area that we're not covering. There has been another guy turned up, and he's gone on the split, so to speak of, and he's fishing out into this bowl side as well. So I'm quite pleased about that, really, because he could have gone over there and it prevented me from putting one long. But not only that, the reason I say that is a bit of line pressure over there. It might just keep the fish moving around a little bit. And obviously, you know, he's going to make a little bit of disturbance, and we're all set now. Everything's pucker. We've made our disturbance, and it's fingers crossed now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, can't wait to get that fire going, and hopefully we can find a takeaway that lets us pay by card, because I couldn't find a cash point when I went to the shop. So the takeaway is on the back burner at the minute, but either way, we're going to enjoy ourselves this evening.
Without a doubt, definitely.
Yeah. So here's hoping. Hopefully the next time this camera comes on, it'll be with a Carpus interruptus. Oh yeah, that is banging. Well, good evening, and would you look at this bad boy right here. We really are living the dream at the moment. I've got a nice lamb madras. What you got?
Chicken korma chips and an arm bread. Lovely.
And it is absolutely divine. We ain't got much logs left, but to be honest, I don't think we're going to need them for much longer, because it's forecasted to rain all night from 10 o'clock onwards. So currently, as we're sitting here, we're feeling really positive that something's going to happen. Already we've had a couple of liners, which is a lot more than what we had yesterday. It feels totally different. The wind's up at the moment. We're sort of forecast up to 28 mile an hour wind tonight. So I don't think it'll be long before that Carpus interruptus comes along. Yeah. But for now, we're going to get stuck into this bad boy. And I'm salivating, I really am. I've got curry down the back of my throat, I can hardly speak. But anyway, we're going to leave it there. We're going to enjoy this bad boy, and we shall see you very shortly. Well, good morning, and as you can see, I am smiling, so it means something has happened. So we've got that to sort out in a minute, and we'll bring you up to speed as to what's happening and what happened last night. But for now, I want to touch base on what happened down at Cottington. I fished the Winter Elite match, and believe me, there's a bit of a story behind that. It was a big effort for me, that was. But for now, I'll leave you with this footage, because I was going to do a dedicated video for it, but at the end of it, I just didn't feel like I had enough footage to make it into a dedicated video, so I thought we'd have a look back. So take a look at this clip now. We are currently sat 24 hours into the elite competition. This is the Winter Elite, so it's a lot different to last time when you seen that video go out. There's 9 pairs in this match, and currently as we speak we are struggling. Everybody is scratching for a bite except Ben and Barry. They've had 4 fish over there, 3 30s and a double. And news around the lake is, nobody's getting any sort of occurrence. In fact, the only occurrence we've had so far has been a trailer that's going round. It seems like everybody's had a false bite, so to speak of. But we're working the swim. I mean, originally when we first started, we've got that's one of the differences with this match. You can use a bait boat in this one, and originally, that's how we set about, finding them little deep holes and things like that, areas which you'd usually miss, unless you're really, leading about a lot, areas that you don't normally see. Especially from the match point of view anyway. It's a bit different when you come and book on here on a normal basis. You can use bait boats anyway, but certainly from a match point of view, it's a big edge, that, or at least we thought it was going to be, but we're still yet to experience that, aren't we?
Yeah, it's few and far between on what we're finding.
I mean, you've fished in this Winter Elites a few times already, haven't you, Owen?
Yeah, we'd done this last December. Obviously I was with my previous fishing partner, Matt, and it was hard going then for certain swims, and then it was blatantly obvious from that match the guys who were using bait boats were certainly dominating it in regards to they were catching fish, they were locating them a lot better, with obviously deepers and sonars, stuff like that. They were finding spots that 9 times out of 10 with a normal marker you'd spend a whole day just marking around in the swim and disturbing it a lot, whereas with the bait boats there's no disturbance. You can actually mooch around and just try and find your spots. Obviously the difference with this one is that in regards to the April's match and the August match, Ben and Barry run those, they actually marshal those and everything else, whereas the winter ones that they set up, usually one in December and another one in January, is they actually fish in those. So it's kind of like come and beat the O'Connors almost in their own game, especially on their home turf. They know this lake, they know the spots, they know what the fish are like in here, and it always seems whatever peg they go into, they locate those fish rather quickly, as it came apparent yesterday. I mean, it took that 2.5-3 hours before they had their first fish. So
Yeah, I mean, for you guys that's watching this that are not familiar with Ben and Barry, you know, they come from a competition background and this is their forte, and they really have got this place off to a T. I mean, to scratch them 4 bites out of what seems like nothing to us, you know, they're over there sitting on a total different prospect, so to speak, of. So yes, we really have gone back to the drawing board really, and we've tried all sorts. I mean, at the moment we've sort of gone back to stick mixes. I mean, we've played about with the Medusa rig, with the maggots and things like that as well. But it's quite obvious that out in front of us at the moment there is a lot of pike present, and there's a lot of silvers as well. I mean, the guys next door to us, you know, they've had quite a few bream and a few occurrences from the roach as well. But them carp really are eluding us. And I think we just need to keep working it, and as it stands, you know, 1 fish could put us in 2nd place, and I suppose that's really why we haven't spoke to the camera at all, you know. I mean, there's a bit of a story up to bring you up to this point. I mean, certainly the drive down here for me was one I'll not forget. Certainly after coming after a 12-hour night shift and then driving straight here, and then it just turns out that the first bit of snow we've had for ages, it was on the way here, and I drove through some absolute bloody bad conditions. At one point my heart was in my mouth a few times, but I arrived here safely, and it was like a different world when I got here. The sun was out, you know. It was snowing down here though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I drove down the night before. We weren't allowed onto the lake, so I drove down and slept in a lay-by just down the road. I got here about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and when I fell asleep in the car it was just a little bit of drizzle. Then I woke up at 5 o'clock and the whole of my windshield and everything was just completely caked in snow, and it was like, wow, okay, where did this come from? And certainly the temperature when I arrived was 6 degrees, and then when I woke up in the morning it was 1. And then after the snow, about 7:30 in the morning, we got a little bit of rain come in and it just melted everything away again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of been up and down, and that wind's picking up and then it drops off and picks up and drops off. But it's not like we've anywhere else has seen any carp. I mean, nobody's actually seen any carp, especially in Ben and Barry's swim. I don't know if they've seen anything we can't, but we can see 90% of their swim between the islands. We certainly haven't seen anything roll or show in their peg, and they seem to be getting them off at one spot. We've seen the bait boat go out almost every single time, haven't we, when they've had a fish?
Yeah.
And they're pretty much on the same spot every single time, which I know is a deep hole from fishing before in the elites. And that area, there is a really deep hole where the buckets kind of went in, and I can't be 100% sure, but from where the bait boat's dropping, from where we can see, it certainly looks like they are fishing in that really deep hole that's over there, and that seems to be where the fish are held up at the minute.
Yeah, and I think one thing worth pointing out is this place has got winter form. Usually this time of year, you know, there's a few fish caught. I mean, looking back to last year, I think you said to me there was at least 12, 13, 14 fish out last year.
I think there's about 14 fish between, 4 or 5 pegs had, between them.
Yeah.
Again, Ben and Barry won it last year. It was horrendous conditions. We had 60-mile-an-hour winds and driving rain the whole weekend. And to see them out in all of those conditions where it was like smashing them in the face.
Yeah, but the thing that this is something I always say on all of my blogs, is them dramatic ups and downs in temperatures, and what we're seeing here, it's a sudden change in temperature, and it's showing in the fishing. You know, if other people was catching around us, I'd certainly be thinking different, but we're on a different weather phase at the moment, and I think that's why it's fishing hard. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's, everywhere I've fished, I always tend to try and book a session after we've had at least a couple of days of the same consistent temperature.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year. I mean, you look to this time last year in December, it was one of the mildest Decembers we've had on track record. I know you was probably fishing on one of them storms by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we were on one of the storms, but it was still like the air temperature was still up in double figures.
Exactly,
it was just that wind chill factor. It's such harsh wind, it made it feel like it's about -3, -4.
Yeah, so harsh conditions for the angler, but for the fish, it's what you want. Yeah.
And they certainly do like a new wind on here, no matter what the time of year is. They'll follow that wind. but the wind when we arrived, it's been the same for the last week, from what I've heard, 2 weeks. It was pushing right into our faces, and now it's completely flat calm again. So I don't think that's done us any favours, because it's not really a new wind, it's a very old wind.
Yeah.
And when we got here, I saw just down on our left-hand margin, something rolled, and I thought, well, maybe pike, and I sat there and watched, and it just head and shoulder, and it was a good 30-pound mirror.
Yeah, so at least you've seen that. I could do with seeing that just for a bit of positivity at the moment. I'm feeling pretty down in the dumps at the moment, I'll be honest. I mean, if effort is anything to go by, the effort it has took me to get to this match, you know, we deserve a fish, let's put it that way. You know, the drive down, they're doing the 12-hour night shift, it's not been ideal. I mean, we come last out the draw as well, which, you know, we're sat in a swim which, you know, it's not the worst swim, but it's not the swim we wanted, let's put it that way. There's a couple of other swims which really, you know, we wanted. I mean, you saw a fish on the walk round as well. I didn't see the walk round out like that, but you know, you seen a fish and you thought if we could get in that area, all bailiffs, you know, there was the top two.
Yeah, certainly peg 3 and bailiffs was our top 2, and then it kind of went down from there. The peg we're in was actually, out of the 9 pegs we've got, was roughly about our fifth or sixth choice. Just for the pure fact I kind of know the swim. It does hold resident fish down on our left-hand margin. It's just locating those fish. I don't think they're moving around. They're staying static at the minute, and it's just going to be a case of trying to locate something.
Yeah, but we'll keep working it, mate. There's still a lot of time, and all we need is one bite. You know, we've just got to keep working it. We really have.
I'd be happy for a 6-pounder at the minute, in all honesty, with everything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, flipping out. If we'd have brought the spinning rods, we'd have been bagging up by the looks of it. The amount of shows we've seen from the pike is just unbelievable. But we just need that little bit of something, you know. I think what we're doing is the right thing. I really do.
So I'm sure there's fish in here. It's just locating that one fish kind of where he is, and we're certainly moving around a bit with any kind of bubbling we're seeing. We're fishing to them now in hope that one of them is a carp and it's not a bream kind of thing, but it became pretty evident straight away, wasn't it? As soon as we went on to like small little PVA bags of pellets, the bream were on you almost instantly, weren't they?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
The stick mixes, we've tried that. They haven't touched us, touch wood, yet with the stick mixes, so that is a bonus. You last time in August match, wasn't it? We put stick mixes on, and we were on bream almost instantly. Yeah. So kind of I was a bit reluctant to do it this time in case it was the same situation as August match, but it's proven the other way around this time. Pellets are drawing them in instead of the stick mixes. So. Yeah.
I mean, certainly the maggots as well. I mean, the maggots have drawn them in, but there is other guys. I mean, the guys opposite us, they're just purely putting maggots in, and they're not really getting affected by the silvers, which I found quite surprising. Whereas the guys next to us, you know, they're crumbed up boilers and pellets and things like that, and they're still picking up a lot of bream. So, I mean, it did become apparent yesterday when I arrived late and that, you know, the priority was getting the rods out. I arrived just as the hooper went for getting the rods in. The priority was getting the rods out and things like that. And then a couple of hours later, it's bloody dark and that. So, you know, sorry about the different context to the video, but it can't be helped. The match has got to come first, and this is the reason why we're talking to you now. But yes, wish us luck, and we'll keep you posted. Hopefully, you know, it'll be the next time you see us, it'll be with a fish. But if not, we'll certainly give you a bit of an update in the morning and that, because even if no more fish are out, it'll go to a cast off, you know. So it'll still be a good bit of content for you to watch, and we'll keep persevering. But it's fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed to bring on the Chinese.
Yes, Chinese tonight. Looking forward to that bad boy, let me tell you. Yes, so as you can see, you know, it was about scratching for a bite, you know, coming out the draw last, we was really up against it. But not only that, the drive down, and after driving straight from work and things like that, and arriving when the hooters, I mean, it sounds like I'm making excuses, but to be honest, I felt like I put loads of effort in and we just wasn't rewarded. It was really, really unlike Cottington. It didn't fish well at all. You know, 2 pairs caught. I think 1 pair had 2 doubles. Chris Hillier, I believe, and son. I don't actually know his name, but it's not actually his son, it's just his fishing partner. I think that's just the nicknames. And then, Ben and Barry, absolute masterclass, you know, really did fish well. I mean, they got a good draw, and to be honest, you know, me and Owen really fancied that swim as well. But masterclass, they really did do well, you know, 330s, a 40, and I think the other was a 16, if I think right, you know, absolute true masterclass. And it was still great being there, still really enjoyed it. Me and Owen had a blast, but we fished really well, and you know, we just didn't have anything. We never felt like we was covering a carp, let's put it that way. And you know, it was the same around the lake, you know, everybody else blanked apart from 2 pairs, and for 3rd place it had to go to a cast off. I mean, here's a little bit of footage of that now.
That's it. Ooh, just beyond it. That's it. Put it back. Ooh, that's just beyond it, I reckon. That ain't bad. That's in there. Ooh, you might have got a bad bite. You might have got a bad bite. Yeah, you've got a bad...
Everyone's left, we'll have a cast, quick!
I'll give 20 quid whoever can hit Ben on the top of the head.
I'll do it for fucking free, wait there.
Do it again, I missed it!
Come on, get their rods back!
Again! So yeah, I fluffed it up, I put it just outside the back of the box, and what actually happened was the guy that went up first to take cast landed it in the box the first time, and everybody else was either just outside or just short or just long, you know, so he took third place. Credit where credit's due. He rocked up, fluffed it out there, fucking donked straight in it, first cast, and that was that, match over and done with. But looking back at it, it was absolutely brilliant, and you know, I'm going to fish both of them next year, the April one and the August one, so we've got that to look forward to next year. Got a lot of things planned for next year. Hopefully, you know, nothing's messed up by the old COVID situation, because this year has just been an absolute ball ache, if I'm being honest. It's been a real effort to get out sometimes, and I'm so thankful we've had Rosemere to fall back on. That ticket just changed everything for me this year. I dread to think if I'd have carried on fishing Bluebell, because it become really frustrating on there, just getting a peg. That was what the frustration was. But anyhow, back to this session. Yes, it's come good this morning. To be honest, I was getting worried because again last night, you know, we had perfect weather conditions. Good, it was like 28-mile-an-hour winds. The pressure had dropped right down to 998. It was looking prime, and I was expecting them to start showing like mad, but again, nothing showed at all. It was really peculiar, and the fact that we had a couple of liners, you know, I was really positive when I last spoke to you. It was like I was just waiting for that that switch to be flicked, and I'm really surprised that we've only had one bite out of that last night. But to say with what we've been faced with, you know, not a lot of activity, I haven't even seen a carp show since I've been here. To scratch 2 bites out of nothing, that is phenomenal, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. It's his washing line rod that's gone again, and he's got a nice chunky little mirror in the net. So without further ado, let's go look at that bad boy.
Right guys, after a tough session and a lot of time getting this rig set with Paul and I have been doing a washing line technique, and after losing a fish on the first time we got here, things were looking pretty bleak actually, 'cause it's been tough. There's no shows, no anything, but this morning out of the blue the washing line technique has paid off, and I've ended up with, if I can get them on them, if I can get her up, okay. That's me about. Lively. Let's go on there. A lovely 20-pound 14-ounce mirror. Look at that bad boy. Look at the gut on there. Me and Paul, we have worked really hard for this, and I can't thank him enough, honestly. The way he set the rig up over there is unbelievable, and well, to make this has made my trip. I would never ever have been able to do this without this guy next to me here's help. This guy is a legend.
I tell you what, mate, we have worked our absolute bollocks off for that bite.
Mate.
And he's just said to me as well, I don't think I've ever had a winter 20 before.
I haven't. No.
There you go, mate. And I'll tell you something else as well. To say we've scratched 2 bites out of what we've had in front of us, that's just the cherry on the cake. He's happy, I'm happy, and that's a wrap.
Happy.
You know, we're going to leave it there. We're going to get this fish back. It's time to pack up. But stay tuned, you know. The next session out, it's only next week, and it's the Christmas special. So you've got that to look forward to. But for now, me and David, that's a wrap, I'm afraid. And what a way to finish.
I'm buzzing, guys.
So until the next one, we'll see you then.